Okay. And we're recording live at the PKD Festival, and we have the one and only Jackie Storrar, inducted into the British Country Music Hall of Fame. When did that happen for you, Jackie?
It actually happened almost a year ago. I got the phone call last summer, summer 2015, to say that I was inducted into the British Country Music Hall of Fame, and it totally came as a surprise for me. But after working almost 30 years in country music, I was absolutely delighted. And last October, I went down to London to the awards ceremony to be inducted and to pick up my trophy. And it was just a wonderful evening and a wonderful memory for me.
So, to get nominated to be inducted, do you have to be nominated by the music industry itself?
That's exactly how it happens, Michael. The British Country Music Association obviously has a board, and these people put names forward, and it's basically people who have contributed over the years to country music. And I feel for me it's a sort of two-way thing, because obviously I've been a radio presenter for many years where I've been promoting so many country artists, but also I'm a professional singer as well, where I've been out there doing my own work, and people have been championing and promoting me. So it's been a sort of two-way thing. But I think what I've given to country music as an ambassador, and how I've tried to promote young artists and also artists from the UK and around Europe and over in America, I've done quite a lot of work doing that for many years. So as I say, I think they must have thought I was worthy and I got the phone call, and here I am a year later.
Fantastic. And I need to ask you, at this point in your life, I mean, who has influenced you in country music over the years?
Well, I think I started enjoying country music when I was quite young, thanks to my mum, actually. We used to listen to country music radio stations, and there wasn't many around back in the 70s, so it was a sort of like a local radio station. And there was a lot of the old American artists that used to crop up, like the Patsy Clines, and then you would maybe move forward to things like Dolly Parton, Janie Freaky, and there's a name that you don't hear much of these days, Loretta Lynn. And then we moved on to the 80s and 90s, and you've got people like Reba McEntire, who came forward, who's just got the most terrific voice. And Shania Twain then obviously led the way for a lot of female singers in the 90s. So I've got to say, it's been quite a journey, I would think, over these sort of 2-3 decades with various artists. But these are the names that sort of really stick out in my mind as the ones that highlights for me and helped me along the way and influenced me.
Yeah. So has this been a full-time occupation for you, country singing, or have you had a job alongside that?
Well, country music has always been a full-time occupation, whether it be through presenting radio or whether it be as a singer. And my first job was in 1986, and I had not long left school, and I worked in hospital radio. Which is where most of us enjoy at the beginning of a radio career. And there was a competition for a local station up in Dundee called Radio Tay. And I remember somebody saying, why don't you apply for this? And I was a bit hesitant, but eventually they persuaded me I should apply for this competition. And it was called Voice of 85. And I had to do a talk all about my hometown, which is Kirkcaldy. And about a year later, I got this phone call completely out of the blue saying, you're one of our finalists, and would you like to come up and do your own show? That's part of the prize. And that was my sort of introduction into professional radio. So I worked in that for about 8 years. Then I moved across to Malta and worked in radio in Malta for about 5 years. And during that time was when I sort of picked up on my singing again. There was a lot of scope to do singing out in Malta. Being a holiday island, there was lots of hotels wanting cabaret singers, and then I used to watch the cruise ships come into the harbour and think, that would be lovely to go and work on a cruise ship, which I did. That was the next job I had. So yes, the answer is that I've always been involved in country music, and I've always had some form of entertainment in my career.
And I've listened to quite a few of your albums, snippets of them anyway. There are so many of them that I can't sit down. Quite a busy life myself. And you have quite a repertoire of albums in your log. Mm-hmm. What one means most to you? Well,
I think I may be a bit previous of saying this to you, Michael, but I have a new one that's coming out on the 1st of September. And I think, without hearing the finished product, which is only a matter of weeks away now, I think that is going to become the most important and special album in my life, purely the reason I recorded it, which I will explain in a second. But I have enjoyed making the other albums as well, and each one is special. Each one feels like it's your own child. You know, you start it from nothing, you nurture it, and then you watch it grow, and then it becomes your product, and then people start to love the music on it. And there's nothing nicer than when somebody just says, "I love your album," or "I love that song that you've written," and there's something very special about that. So I think everyone is special in its own way. But obviously the new one is going to hold a very special place in my heart, because it's possibly my legacy album, the one that I will probably be the last one that I'll do in studio.
Yeah. And have you got a title for the new album yet?
I do. It's called Behind Her Eyes. It's actually an original song that was written by myself and Steve. Steve is my husband. He's also my co-producer. He's my backing singer. He's my drummer. He's a man of many talents. But it's as much his album as it is mine, to be honest. He's worked very hard on it. So yeah, it's an original song that we've made the title.
Yeah. So he's a rock, really, yeah?
He absolutely is. I mean, sometimes I call him a gem, but that might embarrass him too much. So we'll just go for rock today. He's my rock.
Let's go for rock. We're at PKD 2016, so yeah. So you're an ex-Kirkcaldy High School pupil, and well turned out, and a fruitful career you've had, yes? So they must be proud of you.
Well, they are. I was invited back for their 50th birthday celebrations just a few years ago. And it was a wonderful thing to go back, especially after all that time, and just revisit your old school. There's not a lot of people that, I suppose, get to do that. And I was one of these people that actually quite enjoyed school. So I don't know what that makes me, but I did enjoy school. And Kirkcaldy High School was one that had a great reputation around Fife. And we had a great music department led by the wonderful Abigail Mackenzie, who I think is still on the go. But I mean, we loved music. You know, we had a great orchestra, great choirs. And I just loved being part of the music department. So it's not surprising that I went on to have a musical career. But yeah, I think they are very proud of their ex-pupils, and me being one of them. I think they follow what I'm doing over the years. Yeah.
And it's been your first time on the stage over a year, and you've just done a fantastic performance at the PKD 2016 there. And the crowd loved it, and it was certainly very harmonious, and I loved it as well. And I was backstage. How do you feel about that? How did that feel, being up on the stage again?
Well, I'm just taking a moment here to actually let it sink in, Michael, because as you know, I've literally just walked off stage. And any time you walk off stage, you normally have a bit of adrenaline going around your body anyway. But as you rightly said, that's the first time in a year. And there's a very good reason for that, is that for the past 6 years I have been struggling with a cancer diagnosis, breast cancer. And although I thought I had beaten it a couple of years ago, it returned. So I'm now dealing with a second diagnosis, and that's very, very hard. It's very difficult to deal with and to cope with. And it does take a lot of things away from your life. And one of them has been my performing, because I've just not been well enough to do that. I've been doing a lot of treatments at hospital to basically keep me alive for the last 12 months or so. There's no other way of saying it. So I think when you suddenly are asked, could you or would you like to do a couple of songs at the festival, it was a big thing, because I wasn't even sure if I would be around to do it, if I would be well enough to do it. And here I am, and I've gone up on stage today, and I've looked out and I've seen the audience there. I've seen hundreds of people looking back at me. I've heard my own voice again for the first time in all these months, and it's just a wonderful feeling, because I feel like me again. You know, I think when music's a part of your life and something takes it away, it does tend to take quite a bit of you away with it, and that I've missed so much. And I think that's the bit when you say, how do I feel? I feel very proud that I've got up there and done it. But apart from that, I just feel excited. There's an excitement about me that I haven't had for a while, because I've not been able to do this sort of thing. And I feel quite alive today. I'm sitting here with you now going, I've done it. And I feel quite alive. And that's a great feeling. That's a lovely place to be right now.